anyways, I'm here on behalf of the EA and also myself. I'm working at NILU, but this is also an activity going on at the EA. As we've seen earlier today, there are some activities to put the data providing from different frameworks into the Copernicus. Oops. Which is the next? Okay, yeah. So to support the Copernicus in situ data coordination, this is an effort going across different themes. It's the ocean, meteorology, climate, atmosphere, and the space. And the aim is to look at what in situ data that is available or could be available. And not only for CAMS, but also for the Marine Service, the CMEMS, and the C3S. And it's a bit about the missing data or the homeless data. This is, So I speak faster and then we can have some coffee. And it's all about the sustainability of the data that is delivered into the services, and it's about harvesting the unavailable data at the moment to look into which data providers could be put into the services. And of course, exploring new technologies and be in close contact with the data providers and the different projects. And we would like to kind of look into what is currently, or we have looked into what is currently available with this so-called state of play, and maintain these operational data services and engage with the data providers to learn them. Why is it so important that you report the data? What is the data used for? And so on and so forth. And of course, support and advise the European Commission on how to use the data. So it's a consortium that is set up, so you can call COINS a project or a consortium, which is EEA is kind of leading the consortium, but it's a project manager from the UK Met Office, and there are partners from Eurogoose and NILU also in this. And you can see there is a thematic domain consisting of all those 8 different themes that I have listed here, and also there is some license agreement because some of the data that are put into the services needs to have a license agreement and so on. And also, of course, there is some metadata infrastructure. The activities that we work on is, as I said, these homeless data that are data that does not belong to any major infrastructure archives and so on. And we want to make them available with the fair data principles. That means that they're taking into the databases with license agreement, with people getting acknowledged and so on. And we would like to encourage them to submit the data to Copernicus and also give the recommendations on how to do it. For example, set up the different data streams on FTPs and so on. And it's not only about the atmosphere, it's also about the coastal services, the marine services, and also the hydrological in situ data. And of course, as mentioned already earlier today, I think the CO2 MVS will be a very important part of the service. It's taking into account that we will investigate the needs and cooperate with the stakeholders on local and regional and global scale. And there are plans on webinars and so on that is also taken part of into the COINS consortium. One activity that we see as a main activity of this is Arctic data. There are a lack of data reporters in the Arctic. There are stations that are only measuring at a small scale that could be put into the Copernicus services. And also we would like to improve the UMetNet license agreements, as I said. There are important to have license agreements with the data providers. Data from the drifting buoys are things that could be put into the different services and the land data. And there is also an activity called CIS Squared, where we put the metadata information into the services and want to provide that out again to the countries so that the people in their various individual countries will know what data is reported from which or from my country. That goes also into this data infrastructure work package. I will not go into the detail of this, but this homeless data package has been defined with 5 different tasks. So, and give recommendation and encourage new data providers to put their homeless data into the archives. And this is not a new task. It's been going on for a couple of years. It's already started where we sent out a survey. Some people have already responded earlier project. And the outcome of that one was a report on the in situ data availability. It was done for the Arctic, and now it's going to be transferred to global activities. So we're mapping the landscape of homeless data and available data. And we have identified already some bottlenecks and gaps, and we would like to support the provision of data from those. Especially where there are major air pollutants and size distribution of chemical data products that could be fed into the different products that is produced by CAMS. And we also look into historical archives, the data campaigns, ongoing and planned measurements. And I've listed in green some of the major frameworks or infrastructure that delivers data, but some of the homeless data does not even know in which of them they belong. So part of the COINS consortium is also to give recommendations on where to put this. And as you see, it's of course the surface point measurements and the profile measurements, but also different airborne platforms and so on that will be taken into account in this. And it will be on urban, regional, and global scale, as said. And we have already in this project defined some concrete tasks to work on. So they are defined here, but along the project's timeline, we hope to go more and more into contact with the different data providers and guide them. Maybe there are new measurement principles that could be set up in the countries. And also in this project, we are looking into how many different products are dependent on individual measurements, and vice versa, how many individual measurements are used in the different products in the services. And these are just examples on how we provide information to the nations on which data are they reporting into CAMS. And of course, it's just from the CIS squared, it's important, one of the important functions is to take out this information and provide them in the reports and so on. And also, there are functionalities for finding the gaps in the time series and finding near real-time data availability and data with uncertainty estimates and so on. Because some of the people, they report the data without uncertainty estimates, but as soon as we can have more uncertainty estimates on the data, it will improve the in situ data that goes back to the services again. So these are just examples of maps that we produce from this project to get the overview of where are potential gap-filling activities. And there are, as I said, some specific tasks for the CO2 MVS. And there was a first phase where we had surveys from from coins to the different countries, and these will be followed up now by webinars. So taking into account what the countries reported, what they could do in their countries, the coins will give up the information and look at, again, the country's uptake from that one. And these are just some examples on what type of questions or what type of questions are sent out to the users and given feedback to the coins, and how much interest there is in the countries of the in situ data for the CO2 areas. Then also 1 or 2 slides about the space components, because it's not only the in situ data for the CAMS, but it also for validation of the different Sentinel missions and what are the user requirements for those CalVal data and so on. And it's Sentinel 1 and 2 and 5P, and also Sentinel 3, the atmospheric component of that will be taken into account. Yep, I think that's... And of course, it's to integrate it not only in the atmospheric service, but also in the land service and C2S is the goal of COINS.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. So I think it's very useful for the community to learn more about COINS and to see that there are lots of tasks relative to in situ observation that we could not do, or we went to really to opportunistic activities, and COINS as a structured approach, which is very useful. Do we have a question? I know it's just before the coffee break, so it's it's hard, but if there is a question, we can take it.